In this video, I will show you how to add an image preview to Gravity Forms. So to get started, here I just have a very simple contact form and I haven't done anything, so let me just show you how it works currently. So here I have an images input, and here let me just select the image and upload. And here you'll notice only the image name appears here. So what I want to do actually is to have a thumbnail and preview the image so it's easier to know if the user made a mistake. So this is how it currently works. And let me just go through the current setup. So obviously you will need a WordPress site with Gravity Forms installed and with a license. Here I've also created a contact form, which is the one you saw, and here I just configured my images field to only accept JPEG and PNG file extensions. I have also enabled multi-file upload and just made it so the max number of files is 5. So this is my form. So, okay, to add the image preview, we're actually going to make use of this Gravity Forms filter, which is used to replace or modify the HTML of the multi-file upload preview. And now here it says that you need to use a JavaScript version and a PHP version, and we will see why is that momentarily. So, okay, to get started, let me just copy this JavaScript version, and I'm going to now go to Visual Studio Code, and here I have my WordPress site. So let me just go to WP content. Let me go to themes, select my theme and templates. And here I'm just going to add some code to the template my contact page is currently using. So in this case, it's the page with no title. And here, let me just add a script tag. Okay, and let me just make it so this function waits until the document is loaded. So add event listener DOM content loaded, and here we're just going to add our function. Oops, okay. So now here I can paste the code from Gravity Forms. Okay, so here what I'll do is first I want to check if this is our form and our field, because this filter will run for every form we may have. So we just want to replace the HTML of this very specific form. So in order to do that, we just have to first check the form ID. So form ID is equal to up settings dot multi-part params dot form ID. Okay, so this is our form ID, and actually let me just copy this, and we also need our field ID. So field ID is the same thing, except in the end we want field ID. Okay, so now we can write an if statement to check if this is the form and the field, the correct field and the correct form. So if form ID equals something and field ID equals something, then we are going to do something. Okay, so how can we know what is the ID of our form and our field? So let me just go back to our WordPress admin, and here in the forms menu, here you can see my form has an ID of 1, and if I click on it and then I click on the images field, here on the right side you'll see it has an ID of 4. So these are our values. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and here it'll be form ID is 1 and the field ID is 4, and then we can change the HTML. So what I'm going to do actually is we need to create the path where our image is being uploaded whenever we upload an image, and this is so let me just show you where this happens. So if I just go to WP Content, Uploads, Gravity Forms, here you'll notice I have this long folder name. So the one in the beginning refers to the form ID, so this is the one we're looking for, and then inside we have a temp file, and inside we have an image, and this is the image we just added to our form. So we want to render this image in our front end as our preview. So what I'm going to do now is recreate this path so that we can add it to our HTML. So here what I'll do is just add a const site URL. This will be window dot location dot origin. Okay, so this is the base URL of our site, and then our folder name we can just copy and paste our folder name. So if I just go back here and just copy this and paste it here, we now have that. Obviously you will have a different value. Okay, finally we just need the name of the temporary file. So in order to get that, I'm going to do const temp name equals, I'm going to use this Gravity Forms function and check response and data temp file name. Okay, so this is our file name. So finally, I'm going to modify the HTML variable that comes in our function here. So what I'll do is add an image tag. So let me just do image, and I'm going to create the source right here. So let's just do this. So it'll be the site URL plus this will be WP content uploads, right? So I'm just following this path I just showed you. So WP content uploads Gravity Forms. Then we can just add the form folder. So form folder. Then we can add the temp file. And finally, I can add the temp name. Okay, so this is the end of our source. So I'm just going to close this, and then I can add the alt, which will be equal to just the file name. So file.name. Okay, And finally, I'm going to add some styling so that we specify the width of our thumbnail, our preview image. So I'll just add a style equals, this will be max width of 100 pixels. Then display will be block, and margin bottom will be 5 pixels, just to add some spacing between the images. Okay, and we can just close our image tag. So, okay, and finally we can just add the HTML, the original HTML. So we're just adding the image tag at the beginning of the default HTML, and finally we just return the HTML. Okay, so let's give it a go. Let me go back to our site, hit refresh, and I'm just going to select another image, and it looks like it isn't working. Let me see if I just save this file. Looks like I did. So let's just try that again. Select, open, and it still isn't working. Let me just check what HTML. Oh, we're getting an error, it looks like. So cannot read properties of undefined reading multipart params. Okay, so probably just a typo. So let me just go back to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so up setting. Oh, it looks like I missed an S here. It's up.settings. Okay, so let's give it another try. Let's go here, refresh, select an image, open. It looks like it's still not working. So form ID is not defined, it tells me. Let me go back to Visual Studio Code, and form ID is also misspelled. Okay, so hopefully that's the last typo. Let's hit refresh, select files, open, and there it is. Now we have our preview image. If I upload more images, you can see it's still working. Perfect. So let me just try to submit the form, and obviously it returned an error because I made these fields required. But one thing you'll notice is when I hit submit and the page re-rendered, I no longer have my image previews. So that's why we need to also add our PHP version, as it says right here, because whenever a page is re-rendered server-side, for example, when there's a validation error on when you have a multi-step form, we need to add it in PHP as well. So let me just go back here and copy this block. And what we'll do now is actually add this code to our functions.php file in our template. So here I'm just in WP content, themes, select my theme, and open my functions.php file. And here at the end, I'll just add this. Okay, now what I'll do right here is actually I want to kind of write this function in a separate line. So what I'll do here is just add custom image upload markup. Okay, and here beneath, I'll just add that function. So function, let's do custom. Let me just copy it from here. Okay, so now we can work on our function, and it's pretty much the same thing, except we can actually use some other methods and functions to retrieve the file names and the temporary file name and this type of things. But in essence, we're doing the same thing. We're just adding an image tag to our HTML. This is our HTML file upload markup. So what I'm going to do here is first check if our form ID and form field are the correct ones. So if form ID equals 1 and field ID equals 4, and then here I'll just create a variable that will contain the upload URL. URL will be equal to gf forms model, and here get upload URL, and we're going to pass the form ID. Okay, next we need a file name, so this will be file name will be equal to file info, and here we need the uploaded file name. Okay, next we need the temporary file name, temp file name, also in file info. Here I misspelled info, file info, the temp file name. Okay, and finally here I'm just going to create the path of our temporary file. So temp file URL will be equal to the upload URL plus our temporary file folder rather, and our temporary file name. Okay, so this is our source, and finally I'm just going to return the HTML. So let's just do an image tag. Okay, and let's close it. Okay, and here I'll just add the source will be equal to let's just do ask URL, and this will be our temp file URL. Then we want to add the alt. So here I'm just going to alt equals, and here let's just do dot ask attribute, and this will be the file name, and this is our alt, and finally we're going to add our style. So style equal to max width. This will be 100 pixels, just like in the HTML version. Display will be block, and margin bottom will be 5 pixels. Okay, and we can close this. Okay, and finally we just need to add the default HTML. So here I'm just going to put file upload markup. Okay, so this should work now. Actually, this is what should be. Oh, no, this is no, yeah, this is what should be returned right here. Okay, so let's save and go to our form and do another test. Oh, there's an error. Looks like I missed a semicolon. So let me go back here, probably here. Let's just hit save, come back, refresh. Okay, so let me just upload an image and then hit submit. Okay, so there's my error. And now, as you can see, I have my preview still here, even though there was a re-render from the server. I'm still getting my preview. So that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. Hopefully you find this useful, and until the next time.